Hey everybody, it is me, Vincent, and I am here at Universal Orlando. Today's video is going to be a really fun one, or maybe a not so fun one, depending on what you like. Today, I wanted to share with you guys my opinion on what I think are 6 of the scariest rides at Universal. And when I say scary, I mean the all-encompassing term for scary at a theme park. The intensity of a ride, the scariness or the spookiness of a ride, that intimidation factor that when you see a ride coming up, you just don't want to get in line for it. We're going to take a lap around Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure to give you guys some of the scariest rides here at the park. So welcome to another episode of VincentVision. Wachow! So the first ride on my list, number 6, is Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. This is an indoor motion simulator ride. It is inside Hogwarts Castle, and for it being one of the major rides in the Harry Potter areas, it's kind of a scary ride. It's not a roller coaster, there aren't any big drops, it doesn't really go upside down, but it is in the dark and you get close to a lot of the really scary creatures in the wizarding world of Harry Potter. There are really big animatronics that get very close to you on this ride, giant dragons, giant dementors, and what I think ends up being the scariest for a lot of people, giant spiders. If you have arachnophobia, you are not gonna like this ride. But what I think really pushes this over the edge and gets it on the list of scariest rides here at Universal is that I think this is one of the most motion-intensive rides here at the park. So if you're someone who knows they don't like 3D or screen-based type rides, you are not going to have a good time on Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, especially if you're getting forced on by your family members or your kid or your partner, whoever. You know you are setting yourself up for a really dizzy day. So that can make this ride experience pretty darn scary for those who are sensitive to motion sickness. And like the giant spiders too. So we're here at Universal Studios for my 5th scariest attraction here. It is the Revenge of the Mummy right behind me, which unfortunately is currently closed and won't be open again until late summer. And who knows, it could be a completely different ride once it does reopen. But one thing's for sure is that the core of this ride will not change, which is an indoor roller coaster in the dark. There's mummies, there's fire, there's a scary queue. It's a pretty scary ride. I will say though, I do think this is a ride that is scarier when people describe it to you versus when you actually get on it. Unlike Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, things do pop out at you, but like they're not as close. And yes, it is a roller coaster in the dark, but it's not a very intense roller coaster, and it's only one half of the ride. But if you are nervous about these types of rides, the queue is this dark Egyptian tomb with mummy growls, there's lots of fire, all that together makes it a pretty scary ride. It's definitely a ride designed to scare you versus like the scaring coming as a side effect of the ride's intensity. So number 4 on my list, to the surprise of many, is going to be the Jurassic World VelociCoaster. Now, I know what you're thinking. Vincent, you have said a million times that this is the most intense roller coaster at Universal. This should be number 1 on the list of scariest rides, right? Hear me out, okay? Yes, this is easily the most intense roller coaster Universal's ever made. It launches you out at 70 miles an hour. It has a 155-foot drop at an 80-degree angle. It goes upside down 4 times at very fast speeds, and it does all of that with just a lap bar, which on paper makes it sound pretty darn scary. But I think there's almost something like magical to the way VelociCoaster is presented to guests when they enter the park. It is in the beautiful Jurassic Park area with that awesome sweeping music. You go down the hill, you see a little peak of the roller coaster, and then you come down and you see this awesome entrance, and the roller coaster flies by you, and this Jurassic World music is playing, and everything looks great and beautiful, and I don't know, it's almost like inviting. It's almost like challenging you to experience this majestic beast known as the VelociCoaster. And I think also the fact that it is such a popular roller coaster, the fact that it has such good word of mouth, people are almost like not as intimidated to ride it. They're almost willing to try this really extreme roller coaster. And I think that works all for the VelociCoaster's favor. I don't think the VelociCoaster is as scary as it is exhilarating. You know, once you get on that thing and it shoots you and you're coasting along the water over here, it is a feeling that cannot be beat. And that's why it lands at number 4. Not the scariest ride. My number 3 scariest ride here at Universal has got to be Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit. And while it is not one of my favorite coasters here, I cannot deny that it is very, very intimidating for a lot of people. It is the tallest roller coaster at Universal at 167 feet. It has a very giant non-inverting loop, and what is probably the scariest thing for a lot of people, and the reason a lot of people skip it, is the fact that it goes up at a 90-degree angle, okay? Universal does a great job with launch coasters where you just jump right into it, and I think going up slowly on a hill is what makes roller coasters nerve-wracking for a lot of people. This one takes you straight up on your back, and that is a big nope for a lot of people. You get some pretty heavy G's on this ride, and it also doesn't help that, like, it's kind of shaky. It's definitely the shakiest, most uncomfortable roller coaster here at Universal. But I do think being able to listen to music helps alleviate the ride process. A lot of people are gonna have trouble getting on just because of that straight up lift hill. So Rip Ride Rockit, number 3. Number 2 scariest ride here at Universal Orlando is gotta be Dr. Doom's Sphere Fall. It is a 200-foot tall launch tower. It shoots you all the way up and you fall right back down. Is there anything else I need to say? People do not like drop towers. They never have, they never will. This one here, while it is a not very intense ride, I actually find this ride not to be as scary as it seems. Everything leading up to it for a lot of people is awful, okay? You just see the towers from all over the park. The queue is super dark, super oppressive, super scary, and then when you're waiting to get on the ride, it's the most dramatic thing ever. These doors open up and you have to buckle yourself in to get ready to get shot up 200 feet up in the air. It is super, super scary, okay? If you are hanging around the Dr. Doom ride area, you're gonna notice there's a lot of people just sitting around. Those are all the people whose families didn't want to ride Dr. Doom, and like the one person in their group is currently in line for that ride, okay? This probably gets the most amount of nopes in both parks easily. So because of that, Dr. Doom has earned its number 2 spot. And finally, my number 1 scariest ride at Universal Orlando, it's gotta be the Incredible Hulk roller coaster. VelociCoaster may be the new bad boy on the block, but the Hulk is the original king. Hulk is the first Elden Lord, all right? This ride has been freaking people out since 1999. And if VelociCoaster can be seen as this beautiful, majestic creature sailing along the water of Islands of Adventure, the Hulk is this terrifying beast smashing everything it sees. This ride shoots you out at 40 miles an hour. It goes upside down 7 times. It is exhilarating. In fact, this little part right here, right at the beginning of the ride, I think is one of the most intense roller coaster portions that I have ever been on. Every single time I ride the Hulk, after that first roll and I do that sort of cobra roll here over the water, I always brown out. I always fuzz out. It is a really intense feeling. You are getting a lot of G's. The Incredible Hulk coaster is also one of the first things people see when they come to Islands of Adventure. And when you see that giant roller coaster and shooting out of a cannon, I think it sets a tone. It sets a precedent. And it's telling you, hey, this isn't Magic Kingdom, all right? This isn't Disneyland. This is where real thrills are. And the Hulk is a big, intimidating roller coaster. I find it to be much more intimidating than the VelociCoaster. Everything it's built up is set up to be intimidating, from the entrance, the music that plays around the ride, the queue, the launch, all of that combines into a perfect, intimidating, scary package and makes the Hulk one of the scariest, most dreadful experiences here at Universal. Until you ride it and realize it's awesome. An honorable mention goes to Skull Island Reign of Kong, for the ride itself is not super intense, but does have some monsters and giant bugs. The scariest thing about Skull Island is their queue, which I think is also like the scariest queue I've ever been in for a ride. It is dark, it is spooky, there's an evil woman witch screaming at you, and they used to have a performer in the queue that would pop out in certain areas and scare the bejesus out of you. They haven't had the performer in there for a while, but when it was there, this queue was extra, extra scary. Well, folks, that is all I've got. Those are, in my opinion, the 6 scariest rides here at Universal Orlando Resort. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I know some of the reasonings for where they ranked on my list ended up being a little bit more abstract than just traditional thrills, but I do think that because of those reasons, those rides ended up where they are. I would love to hear what you guys think about these scary rides in the comments down below, but until then, thank you guys for watching another episode of VincentVision, and I'll see you around. Bye-bye.